Hi everybody and welcome to the Mental Toughness and Body Show. My name is Rob Evans and I'm your weight loss coach, health strategist and internationally published author, helping take your life, your business, your health, fitness, mindset and body from where you are right now to where it is that you want to be. And today I want to talk to you about branding and making sure that you continue to brand yourself on an ongoing basis, because it's over time that you really get noticed. Because you may do one thing today that doesn't get you noticed. Maybe it does by a few people, maybe it doesn't. But you do it tomorrow, you do it the next day, you do it over time, regularly, and what happens is you get noticed. And I want to use an example of what's happened with me today. And the industry that I work in, like health and wellness and the coaching business, there's a lot of people that come and go. And unfortunately, the health and fitness side of it, you get a lot of people that are young, they're inexperienced, they don't have professional backgrounds or a professional way of thinking, and just focusing on training. They use Facebook, social media. They don't use websites. They're not using Google properly to rank themselves. Now, in my area, I'm the longest. Well, let me go back a step. There's no one that does what I do the way that I do it, like a boutique studio. It's not a public walk-in place. You've got to be by appointment only. It's all high-end. So the equipment is first class. It's a really unique experience if you step into my studio. And so I also take care of people properly. And I guess because I've come from the background of being a chartered accountant, I've always felt that I need to portray this really professional approach. So that's one of my points of difference, particularly in the industry that I work in. So I'm looking for a particular type of client. I'm not looking for the 17, 18, 19-year-old person that is just getting into their fitness or they want to get ripped. I mean, I'm working with those people that are probably, certainly in here, my best clients are those professionals, those executives that they have a high cash flow, drive nice cars, they live in the better part of the area, and they're normally executives, really successful business owners, etc., and really value their health and wellness. So they're my ideal clients. Now, what I also do is make sure that my websites, my appearance on LinkedIn, the social media platforms, it's always professional. Like, I don't get on there, I'm not swearing, I'm talking to, well, how could I say? I use language as if I was talking to my grandmother. My grandparents aren't with us anymore, but do you know what I mean? It's always polite, it's professional, it's just using language that I'd be quite proud to hear my parents hear me use. So in doing that, I have a particular approach where any article that I wrote or any blog that I wrote or just anything that I put out there, even though some of it might be funny, it's mostly serious. It's got a message in there, and it comes from a perspective that somebody that's maybe less professional is not going to come from. And so when it comes to how I portray myself on my websites and the content that I'm constantly putting up, I feel it puts me out there in a certain way to attract the type of client that I want. And what I also hope that achieves is being able to attract allied health professionals as well that want to work with me. Now, because I am, it's very unique what I do. I'm the longest serving person that has run, say, an outdoor, I call them boot camp classes. I'm the oldest running one in the area. My vehicle is very well branded. I've got a really good reputation. I've got good reviews. And all of those things, plus my two podcasts and plus what I do on YouTube and everything, that ranks me very highly in Google. So what happened today was I had an allied health professional, so a physiotherapist, that rang me from one of the most prestigious parts of Melbourne. And it's, it would be, I'm going to say about 70 kilometres away, maybe more, from where I live. And so he called me because he had somebody that lives in my area go to see him and he wants to improve his technique and so forth with some lifts that he's doing. So his back squats and deadlifts that he's doing in the gym. And he's injured himself. Now I spoke to this physio and I said, so what sort of weights is he trying to lift and what's his form like? And as I predicted, his form is terrible and he's trying to lift too much weight. And this guy is very skeptical of physiotherapists and the medical profession and all that kind of stuff. So we had a bit of a discussion about him. But at the end of the call, I said, so how did you come across me? I said, I'm assuming you Googled me. And actually, I think I said to him at the end, I said, look, thanks for the Google search and appreciate the call. I'm always looking to connect with allied health professionals and just shared a little bit of information about each other and so we could stay connected and everything. And he said, yeah, that's exactly what I did. He said, I did a Google search and you came up. And he said, I like the look of, what you're doing. And so he just rang me to get a better understanding as to the type of business I run. And because I come from a background of bodybuilding and powerlifting, which is really making sure that you've got good form on things like your bench press, on your deadlift, and also on your back squats, even though I don't do those movements anymore, particularly your back squats, then that filled him with confidence that I knew what I was talking about. And so I thought it was a really poignant reminder of how important it is to keep on branding yourself the way that you want to attract others. And I must admit, sometimes in the things that I do, you don't always realize that you get the outcome that you want in the time that you want it. But over time, what you're building is this really great online profile that when the time is right to attract that right person, then they can see that you're the one. And one of the things that I'm noticing, certainly over the last few years, where people are, and I do it myself, so I get it, is with respect to reviews and Google reviews. I mean, you go somewhere, what was I looking at the other day as an example? I needed to post or will send a box of my books into my previous employer. I gave it to them as a gift because they'd invited me along to speak to their employees. And so I gave them a box of my books to give out as they felt they would like to. And I was looking for a courier to send it because it's in the city, so it's a fair way away from me. So we have this business called Couriers Please, and I searched for couriers and they came up and I thought, oh, well, I've heard of them, I will check them out. So I had a look and every single review was absolutely scathing. Absolutely. They all had one star review. They were talking about how bad the company was, how things were damaged, how things were late, how they made an inquiry and they never got back to them, and a whole range of different things. And I thought, wow, this is the worst company that I've ever seen in terms of the reviews. I've never seen so many bad ones. So guess what? I didn't even bother calling them because every review was rubbish. And so one of the things where I have a weakness is not asking for reviews. So what I do is I focus on getting the person the outcome, but I don't focus on getting them to provide the feedback and give me a Google review and give me a Facebook review and that kind of stuff. So that is something that I'm working on to make sure that I do that on a consistent basis. And you have to be careful because if all of a sudden I get 10 reviews in, Google will say, no, that looks like spam because you haven't had any over this period of time. So bang, that's not, we're not going to accept those as being real reviews. So you do have to be careful about how you do it. But what I do is I reach out to people, on a regular basis to get reviews from them. And again, when people go pull up my, my profile or do a search for, like Pakenham Personal Trainers, which Pakenham is my suburb, or, Pakenham Nutrition, Pakenham Weight Loss, Pakenham Coaching Service, or something like that, Pakenham Boot Camp, Exercise for Women, those types of things, anything to do with that, I will come up as number one in the area. And that's what I'm aiming for. So the more reviews I get, the better. And it's just one thing that I have not been good at and need to get better at it, because you just get busy being busy and you forget about some of those things because you're just doing a great job, and people won't necessarily do a review. If you don't ask, you don't get. So you can ask and people say, don't do it. But if you don't ask, they're unlikely to just go and do a review. So what I do is I send people the links to Google and to Facebook, and I say, look, it's been great working with you, or I'm really enjoying working with you, getting some great results. Would you mind just taking a couple of minutes to just write a review for me on Google? And then if you can copy and paste it into Facebook or vice versa, that'd be so good. And I always ask for, look, can you rate me? If you can give me 5 stars, that would be amazing, etc., etc. And I've never had anyone that's come back and said no. I have had people that say yes and they're not done it, but no one's ever said no. So you do have to be consistent with it. But for me, I see it as part of the branding process. And I thought today was just a really nice reminder of the fact that, here's a high-end physiotherapist that works in so it's in Brighton, which is one of the, it's a beachside part of Melbourne. It's one of the more affluent areas of Melbourne. And you're talking about multi-million-dollar homes along the coastline there. And I felt really quite chuffed that they chose to call me and refer this particular client to me. So just a reminder that you got to keep on branding and branding yourself in a way that is going to attract those clients that you particularly want. Now, having said all of that, this particular client, he said to me, is this a particular client that you want? And the guy doesn't sound coachable, but he said he just seems very cautious of the medical profession and all that kind of stuff. And I said, look, and I just walked him through the process that I use so that he can see how I work, how professional I am. And I said to him, look, the approach that I'll take, I said, if he calls me, I said, I will tell him that obviously we have had a bit of a discussion. I'll talk to him about what his goals are. I said, I'm only interested in taking on very committed people. I said, I'll ask him how committed he is out of 10. And I said, if he's less than a 7, I won't take him on. And he's got to work with me for a minimum of 12 weeks. So that's a minimum of 12 sessions. But I said it could be up to, I work with people anywhere between 1 to 4 sessions a week. But I said he absolutely must commit to it. But I said I want to understand what his health and fitness goals are as well. So this guy, I think, is in about his 40s. And it looks like he just wants to lift as heavy as he can. Now, he's injured himself. He's only been lifting for about 18 months. And what's the point in just lifting heavy for the sake of lifting heavy? So it's my job as a coach to work out what does he really want to achieve? Why does he just want to lift heavy? And if his form is horrible, you know that that's a recipe for disaster, particularly at his age. So I said I will ask him all those questions, understand where he's coming from, and then if he's not committed, I said I just won't take him on. I said he has to be coachable, and I said I'll be very upfront with him to say that. So what does that do? I guess for one, if he thinks he's not good enough to work with me, what does that immediately create? It creates a demand in his mind that, well, oh yeah, absolutely, I want to work with you. You sound like you really know what you're talking about, etc., etc. But it's twofold, because I genuinely do not want to waste my time with somebody that isn't coachable and isn't going to put in the work, because my time is too precious and he's going to take up space from someone else that really has a need and is really dedicated and is really going to do the work. I'd rather work with them. So anyway, the physio that I spoke with, he's obviously impressed with the way that I presented myself to him. And yeah, I just thought it was a great reminder and worth reminding you, how are you branding yourself? Now, I know many of you listening to this will also have some celebrity branding. And so when I talk about that, if you're listening to this for the first time and you don't know what I'm talking about, so if you go to a number of my sites, but if you go to say meet Rob Evans, so that's ROBB Evans.com. You'll see what I'm talking about. You scroll down, that page is designed to talk about me, give you an idea of who I am, and you'll see the celebrities that I've met. And I've met anyone from big movie stars like Mel Gibson, Charlie Sheen, Vince Vaughn, Michael Douglas, to people like Dolph Lundgren. I've interviewed Brooke Shields. I've met Richard Branson, Dr. Phil, Gillian Michaels, Steve Wozniak. I mean, there's so many. Bruce Buffer, if any of you know who Bruce Buffer is, the voice of the Octagon, who says, "It's time." People like Vanilla Ice, Gary Vee, Jason Alexander, George from Seinfeld, Olympic athletes. Some of the people that do the best in the world at what they do. And I've met so many of those. And what do? They provide you with an opportunity to brand yourself and separate yourself from everybody else in your field. And again, it creates this brand that you are highly professional, you're associating with amazing people. And to me, that's what makes what I do really exciting, because I love not just meeting those people, but hearing their stories, understanding what makes them tick, what their struggles are, what their success journeys have been, and listening to every single one and really extracting the fact that there are common threads through every single person that's been successful. Everybody's journey has been certainly different, but the common things are that no one's done it easy. It's been a struggle. They've lost lots of money. They've failed many times. They've gotten back up again. They've kept on pressing forward. They've gotten coaching and realised the importance of coaching. They realised the importance of building great relationships and having a great team of people around them. And not one of the people that I've met that's been highly successful has ever done it by themselves. They've all acknowledged how important their team is around them, the support that they get, their partners, the business team that they have around them, their coaches, the doctors, the medical staff, you name it. It's all just so important. And that's what I love in listening to those, because then I can apply those principles to my own life. And I'm sure you're doing the same thing if you've met a bunch of the same people that I have. And it just, in those moments, makes you realize how you can use that to brand yourself, but then what's the perception on the outside as to you meeting that person and the story that you have associated with that person and their success and what you love about that. And certainly for me, when I see people that have used this branding to their advantage, it really gives you an insight into who they are, what they do, and are you more likely to use somebody that is well branded, highly professional, great testimonials, great ratings, all of that? Absolutely, you're going to use that. Absolutely. So today, just a reminder, keep branding yourself. Keep it up to date. Keep adding to it. Keep asking for reviews. Keep making sure that either you or someone in your business is making sure that you do have these consistent messages going out, and that you have a look and see what your competition is doing for sure, because you can get stale in what it is that you do. I guess I'm in a situation here where there's no one in my area really doing what I do there, or in the way that I do it, I should say. There's plenty of people that try and do what I do, but no one does it in the way that I do it. And there's certainly no one as professional as me or has a setup, like a physical setup like me, but they certainly don't coach the way that I do either. And that's my USP. So I hope this has been of real value to you. At least nothing else, a reminder to you of what you should be doing. And maybe it's time to have a look at all the things that you do, because we do forget over time. Like in my field, where I spend most of my time, and most of my clients are in to the weight loss, health, improving their body, improving their energy levels, and just getting better outcomes for their body and their lifestyle. Most of the people that work in that space are just on social media. That's it. So I want you to consider, do you have the right profile on LinkedIn? Do you have it on the other social media platforms as well? Do you have the right website? Do you have multiple websites, landing pages, domains, all that kind of stuff to help promote your services and what it is that you do? Are you recording a podcast? If not, why not? Start doing these things to help brand you. Do you have the right sort of presence on YouTube? One of my weaknesses in this place or space is to do with videos. I don't do enough of them. I really don't. So need to get better at that. We can all improve. We can all get better. We can all focus on those right things. So in the meantime, stay safe. I'll see you tomorrow. Opt in for a free consultation at thementaltoughnessandbodyshow.com and we can connect and have a conversation and make 2021 your best year ever. See you tomorrow.